Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode, a bonus episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And I have with me here, you guys have heard from him before, Michael Whitehouse. And those of you who participated in the most recent summit as attendees or VIPs have seen and heard from Michael on the recordings and got to participate with him there. But I am so excited to have him here because he's doing something really exciting that I am participating in, and we are partnering together on this. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here again.
I love having you here. You know how much I love hanging out with you. Pre-interview, we just talked for half an hour.
Yep. That we did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So let's tell everybody what you are putting together now that I have dove in both hands, all feet, like all things. I'm all in on this.
Both hands and all your feet.
All my feet, all of them. Because let me tell you, I'm 5'10", so I've got some big feet.
So I am launching a course called Successful ADHD Entrepreneur, No More Excuses.
I love this. I love it. And
Yep.
So what is the course like? How does it going to show up? And what is the expected outcome for people who participate in it?
So I realize I have had ADHD for quite some time and been an entrepreneur for not quite as long, but almost as long. And I've learned a bunch of things. And people often say weird things to me like, wow, you're so organized. And I'm like, I'm what? Organized? But then I realize they probably think I'm organized because I have everything scheduled. And anytime someone wants to talk to me, it has to go through a certain link. And there's a process and a procedure and a system for almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if there isn't, then I'll say things like, you're going to need to remind me about that tomorrow, which even that sounds organized because I know what the process is going to be for me forgetting. I have processes for forgetting things.
Same.
Because if you have ADHD, you need those systems in place to function. So I learned them all by trial and error.
Yep.
And I had this epiphany, this brainstorm. I tripped over all this stuff over the course of years. And I think some of it is a mix of being having ADHD and being a gamer and being an entrepreneur. And so my gamer self is like, I like systems. I like to be able to pull out an instruction sheet and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as long as I wrote it. Right. I don't want someone else's sheet unless it's perfect. You give me a sheet that's a set of instructions that's right. I got it. If you're the boss and you're giving me something corporate, forget it. I don't want that sheet.
Right.
I am very low C. But
same.
Yeah, but I like to have a system I can follow, and so I often end up building it. So I realize there's probably other people out there when I'm listening to other people who have ADHD, and they're talking about the challenges they have and how they're having trouble keeping meetings and this and that. And I'm like, wait, you still have that problem? Oh, right. You're not me. You haven't solved it in the way I have. Maybe it would help people if I packaged up all this stuff I know and sold it to them as a course instead of them trying to figure it out themselves. If I'd had something like this 3 years ago, it might have jumped me ahead a bit to learn some of these things. And so it's divided into 4 weeks. It's 4 1-hour sessions. And the first week we are doing mindset.
Nice.
Specifically removing judgment. Because this is the first thing I had to do to really be effective at doing all the other things. We approach our ADHD as a disability, a weakness, a failure, even a moral failure. If I was just more focused, if I just worked harder.
Yep.
And if you approach it with that judgment, then you won't solve it. If you say, I just need to focus more, well, you'll do the same thing next week you did last week, and you'll get the same crappy results next week you did last week, because you can't. It's like saying, I just need to be taller. At some point, you need to just get a stool or a ladder. But if you stand there and say, I just need to be taller, I'm just going to stretch. I'm going to stretch till I'm tall enough. You're never going to get tall enough. Eventually, you'll go but if you ever get a ladder, then you can move on to the next thing. So that's why we're focusing on the mindset, the removing judgment. That's our first session. Then we're going to get into single overarching mission. This is one of the biggest things that changed things for me, was coming up with one single mission that I could fit everything into. Big enough so I wouldn't get bored, small enough so it's actually focused, because that's how you can cure the shiny object syndrome. If you have a litmus test of, is this in the mission?
Right.
If it's not in the mission, we don't do it. If it's in the mission, we do it. And suddenly, once I went through this process myself, my instinct, my FOMO went away. People would approach me and say, hey, yeah, I've got this thing. It's got a $10,000 commission for each one you bring in, and you just have to do this and this, and you've already got the network for it. And before I'd be like, I do want that money. I do have a network. Well, maybe I could do that. And had this, spider web of things I was doing.
Right.
Once I shifted this mindset, I said, that doesn't sound like running events. Out, get out.
Yep.
Doesn't fit. And in 20 seconds, I'd be like, nope. Well, you haven't even, nope. Yep. Tell me how that fits into this rubric. Well, it doesn't. Get out.
Yep.
Thanks
Not a fit. Yeah, exactly.
So that's week 2. Week 3, session 3 is systems and processes. So how to create those systems, create that instruction book, how to run your business like Legos. You open it up and it's got the steps of which blocks go where and how to build those. And then week 4, we bring it all together by building a master plan that takes all those different plans that we built and builds them into one master plan, so you can go to a spreadsheet and say, what am I doing this week?
Yeah.
Now, you always need to tweak and adjust it every week because things happen and you're not, something comes up. You don't get as much done as you thought. You're overly optimistic when you planned it, but at least you have something to work from.
Yeah.
And
that
was the biggest epiphany when I first started using the system. I thought it'd be restrictive, and it turned out to be freeing.
Right.
Because if I needed to bump something, I could change the date and move it, and it eliminated all this anxiety of, what am I not doing? What am I missing because I'm doing this other thing? What did I lose? Now I'm like, I lose this, and this. They get bumped to next week. They're not lost. They're moved. And so it creates a lot of freedom. So it's very powerful.
I love this, because when I got the email from you saying that you were launching this thing, what I saw when I saw those 4 weeks, I went, oh, yeah. I mean, yes, I'm a successful ADHD entrepreneur. Yes, a majority of my clients have ADHD, and I work with them a lot on those kinds of things. And I still feel it's important to sharpen my saw, to be there, to put that out there so that, people, how can I be as effective if I'm not taking care of me? And so I'm participating in this course to take care of me and my business and my entrepreneurship. I don't assume that just because I'm an ADHD direct sales coach that I know all that there is to know. And frankly, I can't coach myself. I've tried.
Yes.
It doesn't work very well. It's so much easier if I have someone else guiding me through a system or process that gets me to the place where I want to be. So I'm really excited to get to participate in this, because I do want to be able to not only be there for myself, but then anybody who comes from my community. Now, when we have discussions around what you're teaching, then hallelujah. I have an idea of what's going on because I participated in it,
Yes. And to give credit where it's due, I was kind of on the fence, like, should I run this? I don't know. And then you respond, you're like, yes, you should.
Yes.
Give me the link. Let's do this. So you took me off the fence to actually executing on it. So that's why it's great to be talking to you about how excited you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have jumped in. Like I said, I am participating in this. And so for people who are sitting here going, and their ears have perked and their ADHD has gone, ooh, I feel like I need this. What does it take for them to be in? Because I know we have limited seating and some of the seats have already been occupied, including, by yours truly with purple hair in one of the seats. What does it take for someone to get started?
All it takes is $97.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the plan is that if this takes off, if there's a great response, it'll probably eventually become a $500 or $1,000 program like that. But this is the beta. So the concept of this is I got some knowledge. I think some people might want it. Let's put a low price on it, toss it out there, see if anyone buys it. If they do, let's teach them some stuff. And the cool thing about a beta is once it's when you get $1,000 program, that's built out. It's got some recordings to watch. It's a one size fits all, because any one size fits all is measured on someone.
Right.
So it's a one size fits all, and it was measured on someone and seems to fit the average person. And now you try it on and it kind of fits.
Yeah.
But if you're in the beta, you're the one being measured when we build the one size fits all. Exactly. So if someone says, I really want to know more about this, or I really need help with this thing, well, we're going to make sure we talk about that, because that's what we're here for.
Right.
I've got probably 20 hours of knowledge. I got 4 hours to teach it in. So I'm going to really be taking my cues from the students on what they most need.
Yeah. And that's what I love about getting to participate in programs like this that are just getting started, is because I can see both sides of it, right? So from the facilitator side, I've done the facilitation of these types of events. So I'm able to give the feedback on that side, but then also now participating as a student. Well, as a student, I would feel more supported if I had this information. I really feel like I need this kind of support. So being able to throw that in is also helpful, because those who are participating now also get to throw their 2 cents in about what could be more helpful for future people in terms of knowledge, support, templates, tools, resources that become part of this. So it's really fun and exciting, especially for those of us with ADHD, to be able to participate in a way that we feel like we're contributing, because that creates that little bit of challenge that we all love.
Yeah. And that's what works so well. It gets to be interactive. It's the way I love to teach anyway. It's so much easier to just respond to, like, what do you need? Oh, here, I've got that. Oh, I've got that too. When I was looking at this program, like, okay, do I want to build a course? I've always thought about building. I never really built one, because I got to plan everything out, figure out what everyone needs, do all the research. I'd rather just bring everyone together, charge a low enough price that, I know I'm going to deliver the value.
Right.
Probably the amount that people paid in each of the 4 classes, because,
right.
Once you have as as a coach, once you have the coaching knowledge, the solutions are often in the students anyway. So, I do my coaching thing. I draw the knowledge out of you. I bring some experience. But then on top of that, it's going to be bringing the experience and the knowledge around what I've done and these techniques and tools and strategies, everything, to really build these things out to make something really powerful for them.
I love that. Yeah. And so Badass Crew, you guys know, if you want in on this, so the first class is happening April 20th of 2023. Okay, so if you're listening and it's after that time, it's probably too late to join. But if it's before April 20th, all you have to do is click in the show notes, and there is a link where you can sign up and pay that $97 and claim one of the last 16 spots, I think, that are left the last time I checked the link. So there, as of right now, at the recording and release of this, there were 16 spots. If it's after April 20th of 2023, Michael and I have talked about putting this on the Badass Direct Sales Mastery University. So all of these will be recorded, and then they will be available for purchase. Now, I don't know what the pricing will be after we get done with the course, but that's where it's going to be housed. So if you're listening after mid-May, we will have those recordings uploaded at badassdirectsalesmastery.com/university. Just look for the course that's called Successful ADHD Entrepreneur, and you'll find it there. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I missed it. No, you didn't. I just can't guarantee what the pricing will be, because we haven't discussed the pricing that's going on the university.
And of course, it won't be live afterwards, but the content will still be there. And chances are the questions people are asking live are similar to your questions.
Right. Especially when we have 20 people who are going to be there. That is a statistically significant number of people to participate, right? If I remember from statistics class, I think I think the official number back in the mid 90s was like 30, but 20 is close enough.
Yeah, you just want probably we'll capture most of it'll be there.
We'll get most of it. Absolutely. So, Michael, I'm really excited to do this with you and go through, and thank you for offering me the opportunity to actually participate as well, because this is one area that, yes, my superpower also sometimes becomes my kryptonite, and I am looking for help on ways that I can harness it more effectively.
Yes, and thank you for pushing me over the edge to actually pull the trigger and do it.
Oh, I'm so excited. Seriously. All right. And if this is your first time ever listening to Badass Direct Sales Mastery, and you're wondering, how do I get to the show notes? What are these show notes of which you speak? All you have to do is click on today's episode, whether you're listening on your phone or on the desktop. Go look at today's episode, scroll down where you see all the words. There will be a big giant link that says Successful ADHD Entrepreneur link, and you'll see how to get to it. And we will get you into the program by April 20th. I think you can sign up. Can they sign up on April 20th?
If there's seats left.
If there are seats left, you can still sign up. So make sure you click into that. And so those classes will be happening. They're happening later in the day, at least for me, Central Time. So you have, if you're listening to this like early on the day on April 20th, hurry up and click it, see if there's anything left. Jump in there, and then you'll get to hang out with me and Michael for 4 weeks. It'll be great, she said.
It'll be pretty awesome.
I can't wait. Well, Michael, thanks again for doing this. I'm so excited. Can't wait to do this. Is it April 20th yet?
I'm excited as well. Can't wait to see you there.
I know. We're going to have fun. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go because we're keeping this a short, sweet bonus episode. So that way people can know, oh, yes, I want to do this. And no, maybe they don't. Maybe they're like you. They have figured out, no, I don't need support in my ADHD. Cool. That's awesome. But maybe you know someone else who does. So share this episode with someone else who you know who is maybe struggling with their ADHD and is also an entrepreneur. Although I assume that many of these things would also probably be helpful with someone who is also working a corporate job. So yeah. I mean,
and also, even if they don't have ADHD, this stuff would apply to anyone who's just having trouble keeping track of all their stuff and keeping everything together. Because the definition of ADHD is like, did you answer yes to 6 questions instead of 5? So that's the diagnostic tool is like, answer these 12 questions.
Yeah.
If you answered yes to 6 of them, you have ADHD. Oh, only 5? Nope, you're normal.
Right, exactly. And it's like, well, come on, it's a spectrum. ADHD is as much a spectrum as I think a lot of other things are. So, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. So thanks again, Michael, and Badass Crew. You know how this goes. Stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.